There it is. I know, right? All right. We're ready. All right, we can get started. Good evening, everyone. I'm sorry for the little delay here. This always happens with this particular meeting, but hopefully we'll get better. I'm Matthew Kwame with the Peirce LSC. I'd like to welcome everyone to our meeting today. Before we get going, we usually start with our norms. So throughout the meeting, we like to be engaged, active, contributing participant by sharing perspective and actively listening to others, to be flexible and respectful of others' time and decisions, to be open to other people's truth and perspective, be reminded of differences in cultural and social backgrounds, to be transparent about concerns, challenges, and misunderstandings, to be reflective, collaborative, and supportive. Always take the work back to student achievement. What can we do to make things better for our students, both academically and social-emotionally? Respect student, staff, and LSC member confidentiality unless there is a threat to safety. Meetings should be paused if LSC members or meeting participants experience harm due to their identity, including but not limited to gender, sexual orientation, race, etc. The harm should be named. Understand that not everything has a right solution, and trust that the process is ongoing. With that, I'd like to do a roll call. Matthew Kwame, parent rep.
Lori Amy, principal. Megan Silva, teacher representative.
Lady Bosch, student representative.
Lane David, community rep.
From Brown.
Oliver Davis, parent rep.
Nicole Granke, parent rep.
Rocky Dodia, parent rep.
All right. Lamont sent us a note saying that he was going to miss today's meeting. Ms. Fabianski is also not going to be able to attend the meeting, and Adolfo is not attending. I didn't hear from Eric. I don't know if anybody did. Maybe he'll show up at some point. Next item on the agenda, the approval of the order of the agenda. I'd like to make a motion to approve the order of the agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Next item is items needing council approval. One item here that's ongoing is allowing members of the LSC to join the meeting remotely. I didn't get any requests. I checked to see if Eric was going to send an email or a request, and I didn't see one. So I think I'm just going to skip that one. But although maybe we can just make a motion. So making a motion to allow LSC members to join the meeting remotely.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Next item, approval of minutes from the April 9th, 2025 regular meeting. I think you all got those from Eric. I don't know if there were any questions. One thing that I forgot to add on the agenda, and I'll put that for next time, is the approval of the minutes from the special meeting that we had. I did not put that in there. My apologies. All right, so I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the April 9th regular meeting.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you. All right, we have a number of leasing agreements and fundraiser requests here. The first one is Friends of Peirce leasing agreement for May 20th community building workshop hosted by One Northside. I think that was sent out a little earlier.
There's a challenge with the date and time because it's a sports banquet, so I just want to figure out if that's going to be possible. But I think that it's okay if the OSU approves it and if it changes it.
Okay. But because they would have it here in this.
I need to figure it out.
Okay. Okay, so we can have like a preemptive approval
I want to see what Stacy.
and preliminary. Okay. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the temporary leasing agreement for the community building workshop hosted by One Northside.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Next item, Friends of Peirce temporary leasing agreement for May 28th another community building workshop hosted by CERT Experience. Is that
I
the
think
same?
they're offering babies, is the issue because they're both together and they both require space. And so it's that there's babysitting and then actual.
Got it. Okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve the temporary leasing agreement for the May 28th community building workshop hosted by CERT Experience.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion. All in favor? Thank you. Next item, FOP May 3rd, 25th to 31st fundraiser hosted by Igor Does My Bikes, the parent, Peirce parent has a bike shop. This is timely for us. All the bikes are broken. Slightly self-serving. I'd like to make a motion to approve the fundraiser from May 25th to 31st from FOP, hosted by Igor Does My Bikes.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. Next item, Friends of Peirce October 10th Move-a-thon fundraiser hosted by the school. I'd like to make a motion to approve the request for the FOP fundraiser for October 10th for the Move-a-thon.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor? Sorry. Thank you. Okay. Next item on the agenda, public participation. So we have two of those. There's a sign-up sheet there. I think there's a couple of people that have already signed up. And what we'll do is we'll also take a look at email traffic if there's any, and then read those out. So there's a couple of people that have signed up. I can take a look, but feel free to come up front. We have Jane and Hannah after that.
I'll take time. But it's 2 minutes.
That's right. So we'd like to ask folks to limit their comments by 2 minutes if possible.
Okay, sounds good. Hi, everybody. My name is Jane Charney, and I'm here on behalf of Jewish United Fund of Chicago. We are a nonprofit network of social service agencies. We serve 500,000 Chicago area residents of all faiths and backgrounds. I'm here because last month we received multiple complaints from parents about a board that a Peirce librarian put up ostensibly to celebrate Arab American Heritage Month. Rather than actually focusing on Arab American heritage, the librarian chose to use extremely inflammatory language and images and blatant political advocacy in an age-inappropriate and frankly bewildering way. Parents, teachers, and staff at the school were justifiably disturbed and complained to the principal, who not only ignored multiple requests to meet, but dug in her heels and somehow decided that it's completely normal to put a board up for elementary age students that claims one country is seeking to kill all teachers and librarians, and also displayed pictures of demolished buildings and libraries in a hallway for second graders. As a minority community that remains vulnerable in the United States, we Jews understand the need to highlight and celebrate heritage. We support celebrations of Arab American heritage and culture and contributions to the United States, including Palestinian and Palestinian American heritage and contributions. That board wasn't doing that. It presented a single political perspective of a complex geopolitical situation, leaving out important nuance and facts. I questioned the validity of exposing early elementary students to lessons, quote, about war and alleged genocide, when these topics aren't even covered until 7th or 8th grade, according to the Illinois Holocaust and Genocide Mandate. The librarian clearly failed to consider how this apparent conversation starter will percolate into learning goals for students who are not equipped with adequate skills to consider and understand everything they see and read. As a community professional who has helped dozens of schools and school districts to address and resolve situations like this, I always prefer to address these issues behind the scenes rather than expose the school. I'm happy to finish the sentence.
Yes.
What I recommend for you all is to consider establishing policies on content for these kinds of boards, as well as reaching out to community organizations to support you in doing this. And I want to note that moving forward, these policies need to also include training for administrators and for teachers around how to best represent communities affected. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Hannah Bloom-Hirschberg. I'm a parent here at Peirce and also an active member in the Jewish community. While I appreciate the LSC's addition of this subject to the agenda later, what I wanted to use this time for was to show my appreciation to Mr. Lee and to the Heritage Committee for the respectful work that they have done to put together a bulletin board for Jewish American Heritage Month, which is this month. They have been really open to feedback into what would be the Peirce Jewish community, what would be meaningful to the Peirce Jewish community to see on that bulletin board, as well as offered some useful guidance about what has been used in other heritage bulletin boards that have been in Peirce over the years. So I wanted to express my thanks and my appreciation to the staff for spending time on putting that together.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And like I said, what we try to do, what we do during those meetings is take a look at email traffic that comes through the Peirce LSC inbox. And just for sake of completeness and making sure that everything is on the record of the minutes, if it's okay with you, I know you sent the email a little earlier, but yeah, I'll go ahead and read it. The one that you sent originally, if that works for you.
Sure.
Okay. So the email reads, we, a group of parents, would like to have the following agenda, the following item added to the agenda. We'd like a meeting to have a discussion about the content of last month's Arab American Heritage Month bulletin board. We're concerned that this board contained content that is not developmentally appropriate for the range of ages at Peirce, especially given that it was on the corridor which holds the second grade classroom. We are further concerned that this board was used as part of the after-school library club, again, in ways that were not appropriate for the students in that club and without administrative supervision. We have attempted several times to have a meeting with Ms. Zaney about this concern and have been turned away repeatedly. Therefore, we feel it's important to have this conversation at the final LSC meeting of the school year. We feel it is important that this be a conversation and not simply a part of the public statement portion of the meeting. Another email that came through, a letter. Okay. Dear Principal Zaney, Assistant Principal Munoz, and Assistant Principal Lee. And it actually goes through more than that. So Restorative Practices Coach Lifonti, CPS CEO Pedro Martinez, and members of the Chicago Board of Education, including President Sean D. Harden, Vice President Olga Batista, and board members Ed Bannon, Jennifer Custer, Ebony DeBerry, Debbie Pope, Norma Rios Sierra, Carlos Rivas, Karen Zakor, Ellen Rosenfield, G2 Brown, Michelle Blaze, Anusha Katakura, Jessica Biz, Pastor Emma Lozano, Yesenia Lopez, Angel Gutierrez, Sydney Wallace, Frank Niles Thomas, Therese Boyle, and Dr. Shay Lantes Smith. It is with a deep sense of responsibility and clarity that I respond to a recent letter criticizing an Arab American heritage display at Peirce Elementary. A letter which regrettably conflates the educational celebration of a marginalized community with a political agenda it falsely attributes to the school. Let us be unequivocal. Arab American Heritage Month is a time to uplift a rich cultural legacy, a legacy of poets, scientists, artists, civil rights activists, and yes, people who have suffered injustice and advocated for their rights in the public square. To imply that the inclusion of Palestinian voices, a part of the Arab American identity, is propaganda, simply because it does not cater to a single geopolitical narrative, is both patronizing and discriminatory. There's a lot more, so maybe we'll take some additional time here.
We'll start at 2. What do you want me to do? Start it over?
2 minutes, is
Okay.
everybody okay with that?
Since you already have it as a new business item, why don't we just use that time right now, since we're already talking about it?
Sure.
So, agree with that? So we don't come back to it since it's already a new business item.
Oh, so you're saying
We just move it now that we're talking
to the conversation back later on, that's fine.
No, we can
Or
do it
now.
now, and then we don't have to.
We have to do that, I don't know.
I don't think it should be that.
No, let me keep going.
All right. Let's do
So, the criticism of the Peirce Display Center is not around any actual violation of policy, but around the discomfort some feel when Palestinians are allowed to be seen, heard, and humanized. That discomfort is not a basis for censorship, nor should it ever be a litmus test for those for whose histories are deemed appropriate in our public schools. The call for a ceasefire is not propaganda. It is a call for human life to be valued equally, for violence against civilians to stop, and for international law to be respected. If some find that message one-sided, perhaps that ought to reflect on the one-sided nature of the current suffering. Over 35,000 Palestinians killed, the vast majority of them women and children, entire families wiped from civil registries, journalists and aid workers bombed, and millions displaced, and in full view of the world. All in full view of the world. A child seeing a message calling for peace and an end to bloodshed is not being indoctrinated. They are being taught compassion. To object to the word Palestine on the bulletin board while ignoring the centuries-old existence of a people who identify as Palestinian in the month meant to celebrate Arab heritage is not an academic critique. It's a blatant attempt to erase and dehumanize. One cannot call for inclusion while demanding the exclusion of Palestinian narratives. What makes this campaign even more troubling is the setting, in elementary school. We're witnessing an attempt to politicize and intimidate educators and administrators at the most basic level of our educational system, while children are just beginning to learn about identity, culture, and empathy. It's okay, it's almost done. It is profoundly inappropriate and deeply concerning to drag elementary students into adult political battles simply because an Arab American celebration included voices and imagery that reflect lived realities. Moreover, invoking Title VI of the Illinois Racism-Free Schools Law in this context is not only disingenuous but ironic. These are protections meant to defend minority communities against being silenced or targeted, not to weaponize against them when they dare to share their stories. What message does it send to Arab American students when their pain is dismissed, their cultural identity censored, and their expressions of hope for peace condemned? We reject the idea that advocating for human rights, even acknowledging their existence, constitutes anti-Semitism, erasures of others, or hostile environments. Supporting Palestinian dignity and opposing the killing of civilians, regardless of who they are, is not hate speech. It is a moral obligation. Let us not distort civil rights law to police culture, silence advocacy, and impose a double standard. If Jewish, Ukrainian, or other communities are allowed to express their heritage, culture, and even political trauma, so too must Arab and Palestinian Americans be allowed to the same dignity. Anything less is not equity censorship. We urge CPS leadership and the board to reject calls to remove or revive the Peirce place because it does not conform to a sanitized, selective view of history. Instead, we ask that you stand firm in your commitment to equity, truth, and educational integrity. Because education, if it's meant to mean anything, must include the freedom to see and hear the full spectrum of human stories, not just the ones that make us comfortable. Sincerely, and it's signed by Ahmed Rehab. And this came out at 5:41. We will have another opportunity for public participation and then, to your point, an additional discussion here. Next item on the agenda, Adrian. You're on the spot. How you doing? Good, thanks.
Okay. So, what I'm bringing up is a few months ago, I brought up multiple complaints from the students about the long lunch lines and how we're not utilizing the right side of the lunchroom where the students get their lunch from. And then the thing responded with, we don't have the parts to fix it, and they'll be coming in a month and a half or two. But I saw for a day that the right side was being utilized, but then the following days just, we didn't use it anymore. So can you explain why?
Yeah, so you are correct in that we don't manage the lunchroom, but I brought this issue as communicated by you and other students to Aramark. It took a very long time for the part to come in, and it did eventually come, but they could not explain why this was taking so long. And then it came in, it was fixed, and then it's not working again. And so it's like that service line in particular just had a lot of issues. I will elevate the concern, one more time to them. And I was following up with them on a basis at that point. So I understand how frustrating that is.
And Aramark is the third-party entity that, help me out, what are they?
They're the food service vendor.
Food service vendor.
Thank you. Anything else you'd like to bring up? All right. Thanks again. Next item, principal's report.
So I had printed copies of this. There isn't a significant amount of information in it, but there are a few things that I did want to highlight. And in the email to council, we will be receiving school year 26 budgets tomorrow. And then they're really asking the LSU to approve them and review them by June 2nd. But it doesn't look like the majority of people are available by June 2nd. And so June 3rd is looking like the date that most people are available, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But they're due no later than June 5th. So I'm proposing June 3rd at 5:30 p.m. as a special budget meeting. Similar to last year, I would send out as much information to the council in advance as I can, and then seek input from the larger community in areas that we need, more input on, prior to making a proposal to the council. And we'll just do my best to share with you the information that I have, but turnaround time is quite quick for this year. We have just over 2 weeks to move to it. I just wanted to thank Peirce Service Organization and all of the families for sponsoring Teacher Appreciation last week. There was just a lot of really fun things going on for staff, and people felt really appreciated. Also just wanted to recognize all of the staff and the families and students that participated in the school musical Matilda. It was a really wonderful show. For those of you that got to come out, you know what I'm talking about. I met with the committee chair, a couple of weeks ago, where we were able to share different happenings across groups. And then one of the things that had been shared was the equity forum that FOP is sponsoring, and inviting all parent groups to participate to further the work of equity within our individual parent organizations. Tropical Optical was on site a couple of weeks ago to do vision screenings for students and get free glasses into the hands of students. SEAM night was held last week as well. Our fifth graders culminated the PYP through the fifth grade exhibition last Friday. Spring sports are in full swing with girls soccer, track and field, flag football. Thank you to the Bilingual Advisory Council for supporting Dia del Nino. Our students had a really wonderful time. I wasn't able to be here that day, but I heard that it was absolutely lovely and the weather cooperated. We weren't sure if rain was going to come in. I listed several field trips that students have gone on over the last month. Our eighth graders did go to Washington, D.C., and seventh grade did go to Springfield. And this year, for students that did not attend the DC trip, there was a bowling trip one day and then a park trip the other day, but so that those kids could